I've lived in the old student dorms of Block C for almost 3 years now. But I'll never forget what happened that night. The night Zul disappeared. It's one of those stories everyone at campus still whispers about, especially when the power flickers or the wind slams a door shut in the middle of the night. They call it the night of the body. But for those of us who were there, it wasn't just a ghost story. It was real. Too real. Zul was always the loud one in our group. Restless, full of energy, and always coming up with something ridiculous to keep us awake at night. He was the kind of guy who'd jump out of the shadows wearing a white bedsheet just to watch people scream. Everyone called him the Ghost of Block C. He loved that name. Maybe too much. That semester, our dorm had a bunch of new students moving in, so Zul was thrilled. To him, fresh faces meant new victims. His pranks had already gotten him in trouble with the warden twice, but that didn't stop him. I was one of his closest friends. My name's Din. Along with Ajan and me, we made up the rest of his little gang. We were inseparable, 4 idiots with too much free time and too little common sense. It started on a humid Friday night in late September. The rain had stopped, but the air still smelled of wet soil. Power kept flickering and the corridor lights buzzed faintly like dying insects. Zul was pacing up and down our room, eyes bright with mischief. "I've got the perfect prank," he said. We were used to hearing that, but this time his grin was different. Wider, almost. Excited in a strange way. "What now?" I groaned, lying on the top bunk scrolling through my phone. "Listen," he said. "We make it look like someone died." I looked up. "What? Yeah, like a funeral procession. You know how everyone freaks out about ghosts? We'll give them one." He laughed, and I remember that laugh. Loud, wild, echoing against the metal walls. He told us the plan. He'd wrap himself in a white burial shroud, lie down like a corpse, and we'd carry him through the hallway at 2 a.m. while chanting fake funeral prayers. It was cruel, stupid, but we were young, bored, and honestly thought it would be hilarious. We gathered everything we needed, a white cloth from the storage room, some old candles, and even baby powder to dust over his face for that pale, lifeless look. Zul loved the details. Around 2 a.m., the dorm was silent except for the occasional drip of water from a leaking pipe. The fluorescent light in the corridor flickered on and off. We found the old storeroom, the one no one ever used because it smelled of mold and old paint. That's where we set up. Zul lay down on the cold floor, arms crossed over his chest, his grin fading as he got into character. "Remember," he said, smirking, "if I don't move, don't freak out. It's just acting." Ajan and me wrapped him up in the white cloth. He looked disturbingly real, like someone who'd just died. The powder on his face made him look ghostly. I'll admit it, even I felt a chill. Then we began the walk. We lifted him up, careful not to laugh too loudly. The hallway stretched long and empty, dimly lit. Our footsteps echoed. I started humming a funeral tune, low and eerie. At first, everything went perfectly. A few students on the lower floors peeked out and screamed, thinking it was real. We tried not to laugh too hard, but then something changed. As we turned the corner, we saw another group approaching from the other end of the corridor. They were also carrying a shrouded body. I thought maybe it was another prank group copying us. It was that kind of dorm, chaos all the time. "Looks like someone's stealing your idea, Zul," I joked, but Zul didn't respond. He stayed limp and silent in our arms, perfectly in character. We slowed down, waiting for the other group to come closer. The corridor light flickered and I realized something strange, and I didn't recognize any of them. They weren't from our block. There were 4 of them, all wearing white. No faces visible. Their movements were slow, almost robotic, the way they carried the body. They just kept walking toward us. When we were about 5 feet apart, both groups stopped. The silence was deafening. Then, the lights went out. Total darkness. Someone screamed. I think it was Ajan. The sound of shuffling feet and something heavy dropping echoed down the hall. We fumbled to turn our phone flashlights on, the beams shaking wildly. When the light hit the ground, my stomach dropped. The body we were carrying wasn't moving anymore, but that wasn't the worst part. It wasn't Zul. It took me a moment to process what I was seeing. The face was wrong, pale, hollow, eyes wide open and glassy. The smell hit next, damp, earthy and rotten, like wet soil and decay. We dropped it immediately. The sound it made hitting the floor, a dull, heavy thud, still echoes in my head. "Zul, where the hell are you?" I yelled, no answer. The hallway was empty again. The other group, gone. Just us, and that thing we ran. I don't even remember how my legs moved so fast, but we didn't stop until we were outside the dorm, gasping for air under the yellow streetlight. "Bro, what the hell was that?" Ajan kept saying. "Zul's probably laughing his ass off right now," me tried to say, but his voice was shaking. We waited. We searched every hallway, every room. We even checked the storeroom again. Nothing. Zul was gone. By morning, the story had spread through the entire dorm. Everyone had a version of what happened. Some said we saw a real ghost. Others said Zul had run away to extend the prank. But when the warden came to check, things got worse. Inside the storeroom, they found the same burial cloth we had used, only it was old, yellowed and torn. It smelled faintly of soil and decay, and inside it wasn't a mannequin or Zul, but something else. Something that looked human but wasn't. The body was decomposing, half mummified. The police came, took it away and sealed off the storeroom. They questioned us for hours. We told them everything, but they didn't believe a word of it. There was no record of anyone missing, no explanation for the body, and no trace of Zul. Weeks passed. Classes resumed, life went on, but we were never the same. Me transferred out. Agent stopped talking to us completely, and me, I couldn't sleep. Every night I'd hear footsteps in the hallway outside my room. Slow, dragging, deliberate. Sometimes I'd hear a voice whispering, so faint I couldn't tell if it was real. Then one night, I saw it. It was around 3 a.m. I'd gotten up to get water. The corridor was silent, the lights dim. As I stepped out of my room, I noticed movement at the far end of the hallway. Someone was standing there, wrapped in a white burial cloth. "Zul," I called out, my voice trembling. The figure turned slowly. The face was covered, but I could hear faint, muffled words. "Please, it's me. I'm still here." I ran back inside, slammed the door, and didn't come out till sunrise. The next day, I went to the religious teacher who lived nearby, an old ustaz who used to help students cleanse their rooms when strange things happened. I told him everything. He listened silently, eyes closed, hands clasped. When I finished, he said something that chilled me to the bone. "If Zul is truly gone," he said quietly, "either he has been taken by something from the other side, or his soul still walks here, not realizing he's already dead." He came to the dorm that evening and performed prayers in the hallway. We could hear him chanting softly, sprinkling water and reading verses. The air felt heavy, almost electric. When he finished, he told us never to open the storeroom again, that it was not meant to be disturbed. A few weeks later, the dorm warden locked the storeroom permanently. A new padlock was placed, and the keys were never used again. But strange things kept happening. Lights flickering at 2 a.m. Students waking up to find footprints on their floors, muddy, bare feet prints. Whispers in the showers when no one was there. One student even claimed to see someone sitting outside the dorm window late at night, staring in, a figure wrapped in white, face completely hidden. No one dared to stay alone anymore. It's been 3 years since that night. But even now, every new batch of students gets warned about Block C. Some laugh it off, others stay away completely. I've tried to move on, to tell myself it was all just a horrible nightmare. But sometimes, I still hear him. Late at night, when the wind whistles through the corridor, I swear I can hear his voice, faint, desperate, echoing from behind the locked storeroom door. Din. It's me. I'm still here. I've asked the warden to move my room to another building, but he just shakes his head. Block C's full, he says. You'll be fine. But I'm not fine. Because 2 nights ago, when I was walking back from the bathroom, I saw something written on the wall outside the storeroom door, scratched in what looked like dirt. Maybe blood. It said, it was supposed to be a prank. Sometimes I think about opening that door just once, to see if he's really there. But every time I reach for the lock, I hear that faint whisper again, that same trembling voice that sounds just like Zul's. Don't open it. Please, not again. And that's when I realize, maybe the prank never ended. Maybe Zul really did become the ghost of Block C.